Buddy. Quote the Raven Games here, and I have a special guest on with me today for his very own event. How are you today, sir?
I'm very well. We've had a beautiful Easter Sunday in the UK over here. Bright blue skies. Not super warm temperatures, but warm enough that we could sit outside and have lunch outside in a COVID safe way. That was really nice. So
It's
I
really
had a
good.
great day. I'm really looking forward to this game.
I'm glad to hear that you're still able to meet with the people that matter and be safe during the COVID times. So, good
Yeah,
job
it's
with
only
that.
just changed.
I'm due to get my first shot coming up later this week, and I'm just holding off on all the holidays and everything with my family until we're like at least in better shape. I think.
For sure.
All right.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, so
Uh,
why don't you take a moment and tell us about what event this is?
So there's been a lot of talk recently in the community about the Battle Realm format and is it a good competitive format? I know it's being considered for like a top event, so the people who make a top cut then battle it out in Battle Realms. The thought being that maybe it smooths out some of the bumps of weird turn one plays or weird roster construction that, if we get particular combinations of characters together. Maybe we can get away from that and get to a more kind of quote pure game that focuses a bit more on skill, maybe. So to test that out, I invited 8 players who had done really well in TTS seasons. There's an article up on the blog if you want to go and have a look at how I came to that. But there's 8 players that were invited to then submit a competitive Battle Realms roster and then duke it out in a single elimination tournament. So we've got 7 games. This is the first game. We've got the number 1 seed Morgan Reed, who has been in high ranking in all 4 seasons of the CCS League so far, going up against Utility Cookie, who was top 4 from last season, from season 3. So number 1 seed against our number 8 seed. Uh, all the rosters are submitted, and you can see them again on Xavier Protocol, Xavier-protocols.com. And there's been a bit of a pattern going on. We've got a lot of Wakanda, a lot of sort of tier lists of characters. And then again, that's promoted discussion again about is this just a nascent format? Is it just starting up? And we just haven't seen the meta evolve to a point where we're getting a bit more diversity. But it feels to me a little bit like that is the way competitive battle realms would be. So this is going to be really interesting to see whether that plays out, changes the way the game is played at all. So this is our first one. We're going to see that drafting process and the game then going on. So
Yep.
really keen to see how this pans out.
I am excited as well. I have all of 2 Battle Realm games under my belt myself, so I'm obviously an expert on the topic.
Absolutely, that's all you need, right?
So, I know that you can't see it, Jacob, but what I have set up on the streaming display here is two different camera angles that will capture the players' rosters as they display them on the board. And I think we've just had our second player join, so they're bringing up their roster now.
Yeah.
So you can see blue players' roster on the left side and red players' roster on the right side. Now I know it says quote my name up there, but I'm not actually the red player right now. So that will correct itself once we get rolling in the mod. So don't pay any attention to that right now. But I
So
believe we have was it utility cookie is on the right side on the red side, and Morgan is on the left. Is that right?
yeah,
On
that's
the
right.
blue
Utility
side.
Cookie's red and Morgan is blue.
Yeah. So you'll see those names
Um,
update before too long.
Utility Cookie's got a trifecta of oh no, sorry, it's only dual affiliation. It's Wakanda and A-Force. So very strong. I probably would expect him to lean Wakanda, but maybe he's going to pick a strong dual affiliated something like an Okoye. He might be a really good first pick. Um, if it looks like if it looks like It looks like Utility is going down the Wakanda route. I'd expect Morgan to lead hard into Cabal, especially if he has priority. That I think would see him. He really likes it as a counter. He thinks that Modoc is great into Black Panther, and Fury's pretty squishy against the Cabal and the threat they can project. So I can see him going to London. He's also
Hmm.
got Asgard as another option, and Asgard into Wakanda isn't too bad. And Asgard into A-Force is probably advantage into Asgard, who's got just some great ways of dealing with She-Hulk. You've got the size 4 throw on Thor, means you can, and Angela, and they've just got good dice. If you put someone to fix the dice, like he's got Zemo in his roster, and he's got Shuri in his roster, so you've got a good chance of picking up one of those two to be able to help fix some dice and really
Hmm.
make the consistency of taking down She-Hulk a little bit higher.
Yeah, and one of the things that I've keyed into in Battle Realms is that it very much seems like you were talking about the tier list, right? You just want lots of strong options, is kind of my feeling. And that allows you, if your opponent kind of thwarts something that you're going for, you can kind of still salvage a strategy in the draft if you just have those powerful picks to fall back on. And I think we'll see that both players are probably going to want to gear their selections towards a certain affiliation, depending on the crisis that shows up. And I know that I'm not zoomed in on the crisis selection or anything, but my hope is that once they pick it, it'll show up on the top banner. And if not, we'll tell you out loud what it is.
For sure. So, recap, if you're not familiar with Battle Realms, you roll off priority as normal. So we'll see a priority roll happening as soon as the guys are ready. They
Mm-hmm.
will then, the winner of priority will either choose secures or extract, and will randomly choose one of their 5 from their roster, and one of the 5 from their opponent's roster as well. From those 2, they will choose one that they're going to play, and the opponent will do the same with the one they didn't choose. So if they chose secures, the opponent will be doing the same thing with extracts.
That's right.
Once those 2 have been revealed, then the person with priority chooses threat as normal, and then we get into the building part of the construction.
Yeah, and one thing that I did manage to cobble together here is that I have the drafting schedule for the priority player and the off player. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and I have that displayed in between the two rosters. So depending on who wins priority here, if we can figure that out without the audio from the game, I'll slide that over into position, and then we can see them lined up, so the viewers can actually see, or keep track of what step they're on, halfway through. So
Um, I'll be able to see the dice roll, and I'll let you know.
yeah, perfect. And
Which one this was,
sorry,
and whether they're choosing extracts or skills. I should be able to see that as well.
gotcha, gotcha.
Do you have any thoughts on these two rosters, and if you feel like one is advantaged into the other, or
So I'm looking at them now. I haven't had time to really study either roster, so these will just be my hot takes.
sure?
I see a lot of um, I see a lot of the stuff that I would run in Utility Cookies roster. I have a very similar Battle Realms roster setup. I think I made some sacrifices to get some of my favorite characters in there, and it shows because Utility Cookies looks like it's the stronger version of mine. I'm interested to see what he does with Killmonger. Um, I'm not
I
sure I
think
would have
Killmonger.
drafted Killmonger.
Yeah, I think Killmonger is necessary if you want to go heavy on Wakanda,
Right.
because just for making threat values work out well. If let's imagine your plan is to go Wakanda, you probably take Black Panther first, and then your opponent is very likely to ban either Shuri or Okoye, depending on the situation.
I think.
So then you've got, right, well, to get my Wakanda affiliation, I'm going to take whichever one they didn't dismiss, and I've got to take a 4th character, and you've got the choice of Storm or Killmonger for that. And I think either is fine. They're both good characters. Storm doesn't love Wakanda because she's tends to want power for using her cool abilities rather than rerolls.
Yeah.
But she's fine. Killmonger's good, but kind of takes you on a more aggressive slant than a more control slant. So it's
Hmm.
nice that you've got Storm there as a control style option. She has got that throw, and having Killmonger there if you want to go down the beat face option. I
That's
think
right.
also when you're looking at the build values, there are some combinations where you might want to avoid, for example, being stuck, needing to get 6 points. 6 threats can be difficult unless you've got a bunch of twos. Because 6 is either a 4 and a 2 or 2 3s. And if you don't have a lot of twos, or you've already taken one, then you can be forced into 2 3s, and then you can potentially in that ban 3 step, you can have that taken away from you so you can't actually make it. So
Yeah.
at that step where you're choosing your third affiliated character, making sure you're dodging a six in some rosters is really important.
That's right. And now, one thing I think is interesting, and I think Utility Cookie might have actually said this to me the other day, but yeah, there's a strategy here where maybe if you're trying for Wakanda, you don't pick Black Panther first, because if you only get one pick off the bat, um, and if you pick a character like Okoye, your opponent gets to respond. But then they have the choice of banning you out of one of those affiliations that Okoye goes in. So like they could ban one character. It could be either Black Panther or it could be, say, She-Hulk. They're trying to get you out of either A Force or Wakanda. Now, if you absolutely have to play Wakanda, then yeah, probably pick Panther first. But if you're, a toss up in between the two, sometimes I've found that in Battle Realms there is a decent strategy to picking a crucial unaffiliated character first, then
Yeah.
structuring your
Or
further picks based on what your opponent's first ban is.
so if let's say you're playing cubes and you really want to have Angela on it, for example, or you're
Correct.
playing Panic Grips and you really want Enchantress.
Yes, that's the idea. And you say, all right, well, I definitely want Angela because this is cubes. So then they turn around and they'll ban your She-Hulk, and you're like, all right, well, maybe I'm playing Angela with Wakanda. Who knows? But
That's really tricky then, because
yeah, it
let's
is
say you
tricky.
do that,
You do
then
want
they
to try to come out of that second pick where you get two picks. You want to try and come out of that with a leader and two affiliated options. So that way, no matter
but
what your opponent dismisses in the round where they get to dismiss three cards, you can probably still build your affiliation.
that's true. But if you've picked an unaffiliated key character, so let's take Utility Cookies roster as an example. Let's say he really wants either Angela or Enchantress. He just wants them because of the crisis. They're not affiliated. He doesn't have Guardians or Asgard or Cabal in his roster. So
Mm-hmm.
then let's say he bans She-Hulk, so he's negating the A-Force affiliation that Angela's got. Then you're saying, well, okay, in that case, I want to get Wakanda, so I pick up Black Panther and Okoye, and then I go, great, I ban three, I ban Shuri Storm and Taskmaster, Shuri Storm and Killmonger, or Shuri Storm and Taskmaster, so, Shuri Storm and Taskmaster, so that you have to pick Killmonger. So that might put you at a point level you don't want. But I think that's why Taskmaster is super important in these dual affiliation rosters. It just gives you an extra. He's perfectly fine. He's actually quite
It's a
good on
solid three.
some
Yeah,
characters.
nothing wrong with him.
But you can go down that route, but it's giving a lot of agency then to your opponent about who your third affiliated character is, and potentially your threat value that you're having to build beyond that. Maybe that's not as bad because by then you've got four characters. Yeah, and okay, I can definitely see that working.
Yeah, and I think that part of this, stress test of battle realms that you're testing out here is that you want to see what the best players can do with it, right? So
For
if there's
sure.
some strategy that they're seeing that we're not, and there's some, maybe it just forces you to be that much more adaptable. If you see the better choice of characters that leads you to play something unaffiliated, maybe that strategy's there. We just haven't seen enough of these games, and what players can do with them to really understand what some of the best strategies could be.
I agree. There's definitely room for development in the format, um,
I'm
and
excited to
that
see
was
what
one of the
comes out of it.
reasons. Yeah, that was one of the reasons for doing this whole experiment, and that's definitely how I'm seeing it. I want to see some really good games between good players, but the battle realms element of it, which is actually all going to be over by the time they start deployment. Uh, it's just going to be a normal game of MCP then, but we
Right.
might have some slightly more interesting lists,
Yeah.
which are slightly suboptimal. But again, that'll be interesting to see whether that's even the case.
Yeah, and it's actually interesting that you say that, right? Because in cases like say take Killmonger for example, a lot of times people don't like including him in a roster because they feel like he's so paired with Usurp the Throne. But in battle realms, you have this advantage where you can take whoever you want that's really strong with tactics cards. It looks like I think Utility Cookie might have rolled Parario here.
Yep. Two successes to one. So yeah, utility cookies got priority.
Nice. Okay, so utility cookies on the right side, and I have the priority players schedule on the right side, and I have the off players schedule on the left side for Morgan. So we'll leave that there. Um, but as I was saying, you kind of have free reign here, right? You can either choose Killmonger or not in your roster picks through the Battle Realms formatting, and then you say, well, if I end up using him, I can just have Usurp the Throne for free. I don't have to eat up one of my 8 tactics cards. So it kind of makes characters that have powerful tactics cards associated with just them a little better.
I don't know whether this is intended in the mod, but I was able to see the crises that they both had.
As an
And
observer, I think you can.
okay,
I
that's
was
good to know.
I was testing this out a minute ago, or when I was setting up these camera angles, and it appeared to me that if you're a red player, you cannot see blue players' 2 crises, regardless if they have the roster shown or not. Like there's
Okay,
a hide roster button. You know what I mean? So
sure.
only the player in charge of that roster can see the 2 picks, regardless of whether or not you're using the hidden zones in the TTS mod. It's a good system.
So it looks like a utility cookie was selecting secures and had a choice between Terrigen Mists and Mutant Madman. Of those, he's picked Terrigen Mists,
Mm-hmm.
and Morgan had the choice of Scrolls or Panic Grips and has chosen Panic Grips. So we've got a 19 and a 20 threat crisis. Waiting to see what the threat value that has been selected is.
Great.
But either way, it's going to be a large roster, and I think large threat value is going to be interesting for building this. I think it makes the bands more powerful because you're having to build to a bigger number. Once you've got that core of your affiliation sorted, there's fewer options to get to those higher numbers typically.
Yeah, it does also give some weight to and strategy to throwing in those big threat value characters. Like, She Hulk's no slouch just by herself, and yeah, she absolutely does shine a little brighter in her own affiliation, but she's still a 6 point monster that you don't want to stand in front of. And if you're
Yeah.
stretching to hit 20 points with an affiliation like Wakanda, you may need to bring in some of these big big threat value characters to soak
Oh, for
up
sure. I mean,
threat so you can hit those so you can use a lot of your points. I mean,
yeah.
I
I mean,
I'm not
Cookie
against
has got a lot of affiliated options, especially including
mhm.
Taskmaster, like we were talking about. So he could go for affiliated characters in order to get up to those higher threat values with Wakanda. But the fact we've got a choice of 19 or 20 means it's fundamentally more likely, I think, that um, he's going to be looking more towards his A Force roster. Having said that, with Panic Grips and priority, he might be thinking my first pick might be Angela, and I'm
Mhm.
going to try and run that Panic Grip style with Angela because I guess the good thing is with
Oh, we
that
have her
game plan.
She-Hulk just got picked actually.
Okay, cool. So he has gone She-Hulk first. He's gone that hitting that high threat value is most important. Okay, interesting. So Morgan's up next. So he's going to be seeing that's looking like he's already signaling he's going down the A Force route. So I would
Mhm.
expect Morgan to pick Thor to start going down the Asgard route. Having said that, maybe yeah,
Or there's
I
an
think
Angela on that side too.
there totally is. You're not wrong. And again, she'd be great in Cabal, which is another option he's got.
Mhm.
But I feel like the Asgard is stronger. Like if you know you're going to be seeing a She-Hulk, you probably want to take Thor. Though Morgan, I think is finding this tricky now. He's thinking lots of things.
I can
Davis hovering over as well.
I can feel the hamster turning the wheel in his head.
Yeah, he's running through some different crises. I'm not sure he saw this coming. We got a very high threat combination. Uh,
It's the other thing I've noticed, and I don't know if you have the numbers for this. I know you're a human computer and all, but maybe even you have some limits. I'm not sure.
yeah,
What are the
right.
odds of getting any one individual crisis out of the 5 that you have laid down? Like if you're saying I'm the prio player, and there's one of these 5 extract or secures that I really want. What are the odds of you actually getting to choose it? And how much
So
is that
if it's
affected
in your
by?
roster,
Mhm.
if it's on your roster but not your opponent's, then it's a pretty easy 20%. That's
Mhm.
not hard to work out. So then you're looking at if it is in their roster, you're looking at an additional 20% of the 80%, the 16%. So that sounds like 36%. So about 1 in 3.
That's not so bad. Um,
Yeah. That's if it's in both rosters. So one in
right.
five if it's just in yours, 1 in 3 if it's in both. And remember, there are only like 9 extracts to choose from, so it's pretty likely that it might be in theirs. I've just got confirmation from Art, who's our head judge, that we're playing on 20 threat, so our highest possible threat. And it looks like Morgan has chosen Enchantress.
Yeah, that's a good
Interesting.
first draft.
Well, she's affiliated to both of his affiliations. She's Cabal and she's Asgard, and
Mm-hmm.
she's great on Panic. So I think that's a really strong first pick. And now utility cookies like, right, well, what do I not want to see? I think I'd be dismissing
Thor's
Thor going.
probably a
I
good
want more
ban. Yeah.
Cabal, but then he's going to pick up Red Skull and Modok as his 2 picks, and he's going to have a really strong Cabal core if he does that.
Mm. Um. Yeah.
Okay, looks like he's dismissing Valkyrie.
Okay.
That's interesting. High threat value as well. I'd have thought getting rid of a high threat character might have had a bit more weight, but let's see who Morgan chooses to
How
dismiss
many
next.
threes and twos does Morgan have? Enough? Maybe? Is that a
Well, at
move
20,
to try and ban him out of, or ban him into some awkward list setups? You think?
so for twos, he's got Rocket, Widow, and Okoye. So he's got
Plenty
two,
of
three of
twos.
those.
Plenty of
For
twos.
three, oh, and Toad, so he's got 4. I know he does like taking 4 twos in battle rounds. And he's got Shuri, Mystique, Zemo.
We'll have to.
So he's got three threes. So the threes might and Valkyrie, who's just been dismissed.
Mm. So if he
Looks
doesn't
like
pick a three
Angela's been
soon,
dismissed.
yeah,
Yeah, so
he might be in
Angela
trouble.
got dismissed
Oh, okay. Yeah,
by the
because if
looks
he
of
doesn't
it.
pick his threes, then it looks like we did get.
Yeah, he's now taking Thor. So Morgan's taking Thor. Morgan's taking Angela,
Good picks. So it looks like we're
and
turning this into.
he's affiliated. He's affiliated Asgard, which I think is what he would want
Mhm.
going into a Force
Yeah,
out
but
of
he has
his
to
two
do it
choices.
without Valkyrie now. So maybe Utility Cookie saw that coming.
Yeah. So Medusa's been picked up for A Force, and I could see maybe Storm as your flyer, but you've got access to rocket boots, so I can see Okoye is not bad as well.
Yeah.
Or but even hovering over Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Valkyrie and Medusa are just such good characters. You're never going to be sad to have
I
them.
would pick either of those, I think, over Storm, honestly.
Uh, I could see an argument for Okoye, but yeah, it's gone Medusa Valkyrie. So now comes the really big thing, the dismiss 3. So I think I can see Enchantress disappearing. Um,
That's right.
what are
So
we
we have
on?
Morgan as dismissing characters from Utility Cookie's roster at the moment.
Yeah, gosh. Yeah, I can see Enchantress disappearing because we're on. Modoc's the first one in. Get rid of the
Mm,
big head.
two more. I think Enchantress is a good bet, like you said. And
I think on this crisis, she's just really good, and there's no miles here to make someone drop something. So that means the extracts are staying where they are unless they get dazed. But with She-Hulk, Medusa, and Valkyrie, that's pretty decent odds of them getting dazed.
maybe
So yeah, there
maybe
we
they
go. There's
ban
Enchantress, the
maybe
second
they ban
ban,
Shuri.
and I think now he's going to start thinking. He's going to start doing maths, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him dismiss 2 cost here, possibly. Okay, he's hovering over Zemo. I guess if Zemo's just going to really double down on that damage dealing, She-Hulk, Medusa, Valkyrie, Zemo, that's a lot of damage coming your way.
Mm, yeah, those rerolls do help you turn those shaky dice rolls or those 50-50s just ever so slightly in your favor, enough that it tends to matter more often than not.
Yeah. And just like you've got the best in class damage dealers at 3 threat and 4 threat and arguably 6 threat. So,
And maybe
it's
six.
a strategy. Go and beat them up. Who cares about the scenario? Just knock out all the other opponent's characters.
Yeah, it's just going to be a bloodbath up in
Panther,
here.
yep, so Panther's going. So I think he's taken out 2 4s and a 5. So he's taking out some of the higher threats, which might make it harder to hit that 20.
That's
He's
kind of
left
what
a
we were
lot of
talking about.
affiliated options. So I can see Utility Cookie ending up with a slightly wider roster now that some of the big numbers are gone,
Yeah.
but he's got lots of affiliated still left.
So Utility is
So
dismissing Magneto,
Magni,
and he's got
yeah.
two more
So
picks, I
again,
think, right? Ooh, there goes Loki.
yep.
And who do we think is next? Because we're doing
Oh,
Thor,
I
right?
suspect
Modoc.
Modoc.
Modoc, yeah.
Yeah, I suspect Modoc.
He's not something I want to see in a big points game where he can just throw his weight around.
Yeah,
Because you got
so
these
Modoc
19
tends
and
to
20
mess.
point games that there's a lot of characters on the field, and there's a lot of characters other than Modoc to be concerned about, so you can't really focus him necessarily
Yeah.
as much as you'd like. All right.
So we're into what, a recruit two now?
Correct, yeah. So it looks like off player, so Morgan is on recruit 2 at the moment.
That's right. So he's had a six, a five, and a four dismissed there. So again, we're looking at slightly wider rosters,
Mm-hmm.
and that might mean that has Morgan got a fourth affiliated Asgard? I don't think he has. So I think by doing that, it maybe he can't make affiliation.
Do you think he converts to Cabal real quick? Because he does have
He's just
Enchantress
picked
there.
up Zemo and picking
Yeah,
up Skull, but then he would have what? He'd have three, and he would need to grab Mystique in order to make that affiliation.
maybe
So some
he's
really
he's
interesting
Red
play here.
Bull.
That
I mean,
so
to
can
pump
Zemo.
fake, you know.
So what he took Zemo and Shuri is what he took,
Mm. Yeah, there's a good neutral picks.
and then Killmonger's been picked up again as one of the four threats that's remaining. I think they're just struggling to
Right,
make
right.
20 at the minute. Is the thing that
And we
they're
got
doing.
dismiss
That's
on. Yeah, there was a dismiss there. Oh, all right. So two ladies from
I think it's
Morgan's Lost are leaving.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's speeding up. So we've lost.
So we've got recruit 2 for utility cookie, I believe.
We're on
Oh
a
wait, no,
dismiss.
dismiss 2
He's
for
recruited his
Morgan's
as well.
dismissing
He's
2 from.
Killmonger and Zemo, I think. Yeah, Zemo's in for utility cookie. So oh my god, he's just gone. I've got She-Hulk, Killmonger, Zemo, Medusa, and Valkyrie. I'm just going to kill you in the face.
He wants to
So
scrap
Okoye has
today.
been dismissed, as has Shuri.
Yeah, I think
So
those
no
are.
sneaky backdoor Wakanda there with. Okay, so
We got a storm pick. We got a taskmaster
Storm is
pick.
being picked up and Taskmaster.
So we've got 2 recruits for
Storm might be
Morgan.
for the special delivery play. Yep. So Morgan's got Rocket, Toad, Skull, and Widow left. So he's got three twos left and a four. Let's do a quick. Yeah, he's not gonna hit affiliation. I think he's gonna have to play unaffiliated. Now Mystique's gone.
Mm,
So I think Utility Cookie saw that he could have gone into Cabal and got rid of the Mystique as one of his
right.
bans earlier. That went real. That bit went real fast. So he's picking up Black Widow. And he's taking Red Skull.
Yeah, Red Skull's a pretty decent 4. I mean, the fact that he can just kind of freely, like internally reposition your own characters, can really turn on some plays, and he's just not a slouch as a 4 threat character, you know.
Yeah, I mean, he's a little bit below what you'd want, and a lot of it's tied up in his leadership,
Mm,
a lot of his value. But he can do some cool stuff, and he can really like move teams around. And
right.
if he's looking at countering the hired muscle play, so we got rid of Toad. Okay, so they've now got rosters of Utility Cookie has got affiliated is She-Hulk, Medusa, Storm, Taskmaster, Valkyrie, and then Baron Zemo, Killmonger, and Toad on top of that. Whereas Morgan, I can't see Morgan's roster anymore. He's hidden, right? So they've hidden their
Yeah,
rosters.
we're doing hidden rosters, and I'm gonna take this moment to try and shift back to my main screen here and make sure that I can record the actual game. All right, so it
Those of you
looks
in the
like
chat, I'm
we're
just
good
going
there.
to chat. Dan, have you been looking at that at all?
Sorry, what was that?
Have you been looking at the Twitch chat at all?
I'm trying to keep an eye on it.
Okay.
How is 14 points of Asgardians not enough for an affiliation? Yeah. Oh my goodness. I've been trying to keep up with it. So we've just got a couple of people that are tuning in from overseas. They're overseas for me because I'm in America, but I think someone from Iceland has joined us.
Oh, welcome.
Whiskey Warlord? No. Iceland player or Iceland person was Helgemar. So we're glad to have people from all over the world. And again, one of the goals of streaming these games is trying to build this community. So welcome everybody, and thank you for popping in today. So Battle Realms draft portion of the game today is already over. If you missed it, go ahead back and rewind and catch that bit of the recording later on. But we're picking two people from Iceland. Nice. I didn't know you guys had such a robust meta there.
Yeah.
So we're doing the roster selection, and the players will get to choose from any tactics card in the game that they want. They still have to pick five, but it can be from any affiliation or any choice. They don't have to come in with a prepared list of items.
Yeah, the banned and restricted list is still in effect, though.
Yes.
No drop off. Only two of the restricted cards, but apart from that, they've got free reign. So I'd expect to see. I mean, utility squish, I think, we're very tempted to take hired muscle to try and pull some shenanigans. I don't know how good counter tech Morgan has got against that hired muscle. Be interesting to see.
Mm-hmm.
And he's got some in the form of some tactics cards, so he can get like a tactical analysis might be a good one for him to take, so that he can just get a bit further up the board to negate that backwards positioning that hired muscle gives you. Something that he would be considering.
We had an
Yeah,
interesting question in the chat. Fozzie is asking if we think that if a new banned and restricted list will be coming soon. I don't think they're gonna like cycle everything on the list. I feel like there's gonna be some staples that kind of stick around. Like I don't see a reason for them unbanning drop off. It still has the exact same concerns that caused them to ban it in the first place for competitive
I
play.
agree. But
But
I think there are some cards that could do with going on the restricted list, like all you've got. Having all you've got and field dressing and another restricted card just feels a little bit too good not to take. It's just the efficiency there is just a bit too high.
sure,
So I can see all you've got definitely making it. And do you know what? I can see an argument for putting advanced R&D on there. There's a lot of teams that are using it for doing some janky round one stuff.
yeah,
Uh, Guilty as charged. I've been running a lot of that myself.
yeah,
Um,
preaching to the choir here.
yeah, absolutely. So I can see an argument for that going on. I wouldn't be surprised to see that there too. And I think maybe there's an argument that patch up comes off, maybe. And maybe they'd experiment with Zoom Profit coming off too. So
Yeah,
maybe patch up and med pack and another restricted card in A Force is just a bit too egregious.
I think that they want to have either Doomed Prophecy or All You've Got on the restricted list, but not both. Perhaps Doomed Prophecy comes off restricted, but All You've Got goes on restricted. And I say that
Yeah,
because if they're both on it, and you're a player that's interested in running those what do they call them, the Widow Bomb lists, where you take a
yeah,
character that has rapid fire, you load them up with Doomed Prophecy, and they just nuke one or two characters before they daze themselves with All You've Got. Having them both on the restricted list means if you're playing that kind of list, you're basically telling your opponent, I'm playing a Doomed Prophecy list, and that's it. Because I'm giving up all of the other best tactics cards in the game. I've got no sustainability or healing. I've got no brace for impact, that sort of thing. Like, having both of them on the list feels like a bit much because it kind of removes that as a strategy, I feel. But, we'll see. Maybe they've got something in mind that we're not privy to yet, so.
yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of anti-synergy with Doom Prophecy and all you've got because Doom Prophecy works until the beginning of your next activation. So you get it for one activation, but all you've got gives you a new activation, or is it the next
I
activation
thought it was the round.
phase? I don't think the wording is round. I'm just looking it up now. Um, but I thought it was. I thought that didn't quite work as neatly as you want it. Um,
I thought that the reason it was so hype a while ago was because it
yeah.
did work like
So
that, and it was just
the
a
character cannot roll defense against physical attacks. Additionally, this character adds dice to its physical attacks equal to its physical defense until the beginning of their next activation.
next activation. Right. Well, when
So
you've all you've
you get
got,
it for one
it's still
action.
the same activation.
No, all you've got says then you remove the token and you activate it straight away.
Oh, really? Okay. Huh.
So I don't think, unless there's been a ruling on that I haven't seen, but certainly looking at the cards as they are now, I don't think that works.
Yeah, we'll follow up on that, I'm sure.
Your turn doesn't end, and you must activate that character again. So it's not the end of the turn, but because turn is making spending prophecy, um, Yeah, I think that's how that works. I'm prepared to be told I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, we'll look it up later. It's probably in like an errata document or something, but looks like we've
Yeah.
got some roster chosen here.
So yeah, as we were talking about, Utility Cookie has gone. I am going to kill you a lot, a lot, a lot, a lot. So he's taken all of the killiest characters in the game? Question mark. There's probably like a couple who are killy that I'm forgetting, but these feel like yeah, that kills people. That kills people. Yep. He just looks like he's going for a big old brawl around these two sets of Terrigen Mists.
Yeah, it's
Um,
certainly a very powerful, A Force affiliated version of the Killy characters, right? I mean, maybe you're missing out on Magneto, but I don't know
yeah.
if he really fits in that roster. We've got solid Asgard almost all the way across here, and
Well,
then
turns out I'm okay. Pat is very helpful. Thank you, Pat. Has sent me through. I'm reading the old Doom Prophecy text. Well, Pat, do you know where I found that old Doom Prophecy text? I found that on the Across the Bifrost MCP database. That's why I'm reading the wrong text. But Pat is telling me that that has now been updated and it's been entirely rewritten in the errata. So maybe it does work now. I'd have to go and look that up. But okay, looks like I was bad at doing maths on the fly. It turns out, and you can make an Asgard, or 20 Asgard roster. But again, it was interesting. He had that six that we talked about that maybe was worth trying to avoid. But he
mhm.
managed. It looks like the way he built his roster, getting six wasn't too bad. And he's got Zemo, who's great at particularly making Angela or Thor just that a little bit more reliable. And Shuri, so he's got the ability to maybe play a bit more control focused on one side of these two tangents and a little bit more aggression focused on the other. So I can see, for example, Enchantress, Shuri, and Thor going on one side, maybe just to really make sure that he scores that one, and for Angela and Zemo to try and kill a lot of stuff on the other side. That's one possibility. I mean, I think you could put Shuri maybe either side, so you've got control options for both sides. I feel like having Thor's throw, Enchantress's Siren's Call, and Shuri's Panther all on the same side means you're almost certain, especially as he doesn't have gravity. They've got the same. I think you're going to want to see Shuri into She-Hulk is a great way to control She-Hulk, and then Enchantress is another great way. Let's talk about the tactics cards. Takes we've got them over here. So utility company's he's got
Look,
Stalwart Determination. So he hasn't taken the special delivery and Rocket Boots combo. He's got Stalwart Determination. All you've got Advanced R&D, Sacrifice, and Medpack. Interesting. He's got all you've got there without field dressing, and he's gone for Sacrifice. I think that might be a spicy choice. He also has taken Killmonger without taking um, his you set the throne card, so he hasn't got the option for the extra victory points there. It looks like he's going all in on killing, but I don't know if the cards actually support that. I feel like if you wanted to just kill people a lot, he's got a lot of cards that do other things. Maybe he's relying, all you've got is sure. Maybe he's relying on his pure kills to his killing power. Morgan has got Odin's Blessing, Rainbow Books, Brace for Impact, cards, and Advanced R&D. Feels like a more traditional choice of maybe a bit more spice than from Utility Cookie.
yeah. And I think maybe what Utility's going for here is having all of the characters that are capable of dealing high amounts of damage and supporting them with tactics cards that do something else.
I can do that. There's two schools of thought on there. You could double down on it to really make sure you're going to wipe them off the board and just win the game that way.
Right.
So interesting. He's put Killmonger down first and in the middle, so he can go either way. He's fast, fast enough, I think. He should be able to get maybe not onto either Terrigen. I think Utility Cookie is accepting he's not going to be able to dominate both, and he may not even be able to dominate either of his Terrigen lists.
Nice. All right. So we've got Thor went down, followed by Valkyrie, it looks like.
Yep. Yeah, Valkyrie on the opposite side to Thor.
I think he was
Uh,
considering Shuri, but changed his mind.
yeah, looks like he's got Zemo out. So this is kind of falling into the control one side, punch the other side that I talked about. We'll see if that actually pans out.
Mm-hmm. All right. It looks
He's
like we've
settling
got
down.
Medusa deploying. I
Uh,
think
I
setting up for
guess I was going to
some.
say I don't love that because the shocked Medusa is a sad Medusa. But given that all of his characters are killing you in the face, then any of the shock is not good on any of them. Maybe the one I would mind shock least on is Zemo because he's got all those rerolls.
He does have the consistency.
But yeah, but maybe we'll see Zemo on that side. But you're always going to get at least two characters opposite Thor anyway.
I
So
think people
I
underrate
think
the hammer throw. Like, it's one of the better attacks in the game, in my
it,
opinion.
yeah, or it doesn't have
And
to be
Thor's
the
really a
shot.
control piece. Let's be honest here. He doesn't do damage.
Well, put Fury next to him, put Zemo next to him. They can really fix his dice, and that can really up his output.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, not up his output, but maintain that consistency. The biggest negative I've got with Thor is sometimes he just whiffs, and then he's really
Yeah.
sad because often he's relying on generating that power to then do a terrain throw or do a character throw, or then like even throw a hammer. He's spent it all in on his for Asgard, and he needed to get one power back to then throw a hammer at somebody else after taking someone out. Uh,
Yeah, he does. He does feel like a character that plans on having a certain amount of power and gaining it. Whoa, man, we just stacked to the right side of the board here, utility cookie. There's three. Yeah, we've got She-Hulk, Medusa, and Zemo over there. I wonder if he's just gonna try and crumple Thor,
yeah, I think he's going to
and
try and dominate that side.
yeah, maybe he looks to take out the leadership early. And
That's
Angela
yeah.
polishing off deployment here. So we're about to get rolling, I think.
Yeah. Worth talking about terrain. There's one big size 4 truck in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
That's very relevant for She-Hulk, Thor, and Angela can all throw that size 4. And we've got quite a decent number of size 3 around on the Thor She-Hulk side of the board.
Yep, there's these
Uh,
machinery silos and things like that, and
yeah.
a smattering of twos on the other side with all the crystals, the barricades, and the trees.
Which is maybe informing why Valkyrie's on this side because there's
Mm.
lots of size 2 around for her to throw. So I can see that's a good side for her to be on. We've got Angela looking at her.
How long do you think before Angela rushes in and tosses that truck at somebody?
I
How
think
many rounds
it's
have we
going to be
got?
the first target that's available because there's a limited amount of terrain and they all are going to want to get that size 4. I think Morgan will be particularly keen if that can be him because he's got brace, but Yusuf Cook doesn't have brace to mitigate that. Okay, very, very cautious play here from Cookie. So Valkyrie's gone up, ran a citizen, and is running one. This looks like an infused flank to me. I think Killmonger's going to see everyone coming over to this other side and saying, you can have one of your 3 threat characters go and babysit this cloud, and I'm going to bring everybody else over here, and I'm going to win sheer weight of dice on this. And I'm going to get that. I'm going to get citizens, and probably around about turn 3, I'm going to be looking to evacuate the citizens to make up for some of the deficit that I've lost. That's what that opening move feels like to me. Now, Angela's going to redeploy really quickly. Zemo's a long mover as well, so maybe it's just Shuri who ends up babysitting someone over there.
Yeah, I was thinking that maybe he has Thor come up and grab that citizen and then, redeploy on a different flank. I always wonder about these very far spread flank ones because, he's got 10, 13 threat on this side of the board, utility cookie does. And
For sure, that would be a strong counter to it. Just
just leave.
refuse the refuse flank.
Yeah,
I think the
take one
downside,
of the extracts and then get out.
I'm not sure he can do that because both Valkyrie and She-Hulk can evacuate on round 3. And if you've got parity in scoring, then the win is going to go to the priority player as they evacuate their citizens. So if they just split to different sides of the board, then the priority player is going to win. So I don't think that was an option for Morgan, thinking it through in a bit more detail.
Mm.
So he's gone with a very conservative Thor. That feels incredibly conservative, the way Thor's picked up a citizen and gone back. I don't think he's projecting huge amounts of threat with any of his characters. Even a Zemo, he's got advanced R&D, I guess, so you could get a Zemo charge. Zemo moves long and then charges long. But that feels like he's going to be overcommitting Zemo, and I don't know, Angela double moves, throws something. Enchantress beams him. I feel like that would have been bad.
I think it's more interesting right now that if you look at utility cookie's left flank near the bottom of the screen here for the viewers, yeah, There's no way he scores this Mist Cloud unless maybe Killmonger is within 2 movements to get there.
He's got charge and he's got R&D sitting there, so I guess you could take power off Valkyrie and R&D and charge on Killmonger. But one attack going into, let's say, Shuri is still not super likely. Shuri's not got great defenses, but it's still not that likely, I don't think.
Yeah, but if he does maintain priority equivalent, right? They have the same number of characters, so unless something absolutely crazy happens this round one, he should get prio next turn. So if he gets that charge off into Shuri, maybe he tries to finish her the next round, first away, or to daze in round two.
I can see that as a strong counterplay if Morgan does come all the way down and responds to this kind of what appears to be a refused flank by redeploying and just leaving Shuri there, then I think Killmonger wins that one-on-one every time.
Right. Oh, here we go. I think Morgan's measuring it out to see if Killmonger can actually get over there. It's going to be close. I think maybe if he takes a direct line.
Yeah, because he can go over that crystal. That's only a size 2 crystal, I think.
Right. Yeah, he can just vault right over it, basically.
Yeah.
Double move from Shuri, looks like.
Yeah.
We're
So
gonna
Shuri's going up now just to
try
camp on
and
that.
bait Eric into coming over and hanging out. I can't remember. Is Killmonger actually like a blood relative of the Wakandan royal family, or is he was like adopted or something? Right. Oh,
I'm
he's moving.
Killmonger is just, yeah, he's just completely ignoring that and saying, Shuri can sit up there and score some points. I'm going to have 20 threat down here against your 17, and I'm going to be inviting you to come and take this one off me. So
My
She-Hulk
goodness.
looks like she's scoring it at the minute. Yeah, she is. So She-Hulk is within range 1 of that Terrigen Mist Cloud.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, and she is immune to poison. That's cute
Oh, is
because
she?
she's
I
immune to
knew
poison.
Medusa was, but I didn't know that of She-Hulk. Oh, it makes sense, right? The gamma poisoning.
Yeah, yeah. Hulk is also immune to poison.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh, so that's nice that it's not going to limit her power generation. So she was a safe character to put there. You're absolutely right. Medusa is immune to poison too, being an Inhuman.
I found that like for a while they were releasing crises in boxes where whatever affiliation comes with that crisis often doesn't really want to play it. And I feel like there was this shift around when Mayor Fisk came out, where like the Criminal Syndicate box got Mayor Fisk, and they loved that scenario.
Sure.
But like,
If you go back, though, Asgardian's got hammers, and whilst
I,
everyone's good at hammers,
I guess they're okay. You know,
yeah, it doesn't feel bad. But you're right. Wakandans didn't really want to play Wakandan Herb, and Web Warriors didn't really want to play Spider Portals. So I totally got that vibe as well.
but it seems to have shifted a bit, right? Because I think the Terrigen Mists come with the Inhumans, and they're all immune to the status effect that it brings.
Yeah. We've got, oh my God, how do you even say that? BS-11 Tiberius hitting us with law bombs. Chaka killed his brother, who was Killmonger's father. There we go.
So,
That
what
was
does that
seven
make them?
Trinity.
Are they just
Uh,
frenemies, or?
Cousins. I mean, that's definitely what's gone on in the movies. I wasn't sure if that was comic action, but my Condon comic lore is not as strong as some other areas. So we're looking at a measuring out potential round 1 kiss from Instrumentals. This is kind of cute. So R&D a power onto her, double move, and take the citizen off She-Hulk.
It looks like she's
Now,
probably in pretty good range to get there.
I think
Stand on
she's
top of the
managed
cover
to.
too.
Do you want to do it though? Because then you've got an Enchantress on no power, and She-Hulk right there, like right next round. She-Hulk's going to throw that silo and then punch her twice, and that's going to probably, and with a good amount of power, I mean, she'll have what, 3 power. So throw the silo. Yeah, she won't be able to get around the defenses maybe that easily, but it's. I feel like that's a thing because you've also got Zemo and Medusa right there. Uh, hasn't been any A-Force power handed out yet.
Right.
But,
We're just jockeying for position this round, it looks like.
yeah. Okay, so Angela's coming up. I think Angela's going to be on the go and get Valkyrie mission. It looks like Shuri on her way to the Surge and Mist also picked up a citizen. Don't yeah. For
No, no, Shuri doesn't have one over here. Morgan
okay,
Shuri does not have
Did
one.
Angela just grab it then? Yeah, you got one on Angela.
And
There we go. So
Angela
Angela,
scooped it up. Yes.
in which case, I mean, I guess the plan there is Angela moves up, kills Valkyrie a lot, gets enough power to evacuate the citizen, and then grabs the one that Valkyrie drops. Maybe that's not an awful plan.
Right. I like that he's positioned outside of Valkyrie's normal two range of her
I
sword
mean,
strikes now.
it's
Um,
relatively academic. She's going to have the power to charge if she wants to, but then I guess you're sapping power away from a potential evacuation of the citizens.
that and you're not letting them just use the Warrior of Legend, right? She has to
Sure,
use
yeah,
it to charge.
yeah, yeah. That's
Makes
that's completely
makes Angela a bit safer.
okay. So Zemo's going up to within one. I guess this is to protect from Enchantress moving up and bowing off. So it's a second character. Not bowing, Siren's calling. It's a second character he's trying to get back within range one. That looks a little bit tight. I think he's out
I
of
think
one
it's gonna be
from
out
where he's
probably.
on the silo. Yeah. So having moved, I think he's
Yeah, I can
moved.
see. I can see daylight.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to be able to get on the silo. I think that's something that he could have pre-measured and seen that the edge of the silo from top-down view is not going to allow him to place there. So I don't know whether he's double moved or whether that was just a single move. Looks like a long move, but you've got a size 3 piece of machinery there, so it's possibly able to short move over it to climb and
Mm.
then move up. Hasn't given him a tick yet, so
Well, I think
I don't
well,
think he has yet.
a small
Yep,
based
has
long mover
him.
can't quite get to the middle line, right? So I
Uh,
think
yeah, so
normally
he
they
can't.
have
Yeah,
to
he
double
can't.
move.
Not wrong.
But with with the Zemo having two long moves, it's like, uh, uh, I mean, you know, sorry, but
Interesting.
changing tack real quick. Do you think these guys are watching a Falcon and the Winter Soldier? There's a lot of Zemo in this game.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I think we're seeing a bit of resurgence of Zemo. He's never been a bad character.
It's always
People
been
are
one of
just
my
kind
favorites.
of, yeah.
I think when I was watching some of the games like that got played with the core box, and when the game was first coming out, Zemo was definitely the character out of the core box that impressed me the most. I was just like, man, I want to be that character. That guy's got all of the things that I need him to be doing during a game.
Mhm.
And I think that his reroll ability is much more powerful than people ever give him credit for.
So once again, we see Morgan positioning outside of range two of Killmonger. Now, Killmonger has got a Black Ops strike, which is range three and places him and wild staggers, but he'd have to then get some power on him, maybe some ship in order to do that next round. But just because he's outside of range two, Killmonger's also got a charge Zemo.
We still have R and
Um,
D here, right? Medusa could move
for
up
sure.
and get a place near. I think maybe
Yeah.
get right into the action
I mean, I think, an
with an R and
interesting
D.
thing to look at. Yeah, yeah, that's true. I mean, I don't.
Hey, there we go. Got flipped. Who are we taking the power off of? Looks like Zemo's losing a power. She's gonna place within one, and
Well on a master swordsman.
yeah, that's right. Well, I wonder what wins, sword or hair. I feel
Yeah,
like
I mean, I
one
think
should win, but I'm not willing to bet on it.
enough hair,
Oh
maybe.
goodness,
Yeah,
yeah. Like cutting rope is actually pretty hard, so
yeah.
maybe it works out the same way. I always do like you ever watch that Forged in Fire show? Their knife test is always can you cut this rope in like one swipe, and your knife's got to be sharp enough. So it's actually a challenge. All right, this might be the first roll of the game here. Not a bad one.
Yeah.
Got a crit. Two. If only he had
Three,
scissors.
and then the reroll. With the additional reroll from Zemo being nearby, it's why they're rerolling two. One from Humans and one from Zemo.
Hmm.
It's 5 hits, very nice.
Yeah, and with the Inhumans reroll, that's real reliable there. Oh,
Yeah.
two
No
blocks.
wilds. Yeah, no wilds for the flurry.
Yeah, you hate to see it. I wonder if she repositions Killmonger on the other side. Maybe he tries to take Zemo out early.
Uh, Maybe, or there may be. I
Yeah,
think Enchantress is going to come forward, and that might be a bigger, juicier target for this particular crisis. But if Enchantress doesn't come forwards, then I can see. Yeah. But
we
the
got
other
a
side there is you're giving away priority. So
Asgard
I think
ability.
priority management is going to be very important in this game. But arguably, once the extracts have been picked up, maybe you want to lose priority, so you've got better chance of getting your secure. I don't know. It's interesting to see how that plays out. Maybe
Yeah.
talk to the guys afterwards about how important priority management was for them.
Yeah, it definitely takes discipline not to just crank a roll into somebody at the start of a turn. Um, we had somebody asking about how Medusa was able to afford to do the placement effect, the royal decree. It's because she got power from advanced R&D. If you're watching, oh boy, turn on. Oh yeah, let's turn on the dice displays. Sorry about that, guys. Um, and sorry also about the tactics cards not being displayed under the players' names like they normally are in this game. With Battle Realms, we haven't quite figured out a way to get that overlay up and running yet, but hey,
We'll check in regularly. Maybe at the end of each round, we'll do a quick tactics card update of what tactics cards they've still got available.
that's right. Yeah, good
We're
idea.
talking about plays. Okay, so here we go. Enchantress is coming up to within one, which should be easy in there. And then we'll see our system She-Hulk is going to be Siren's Fall. There we go. Siren's Fall with short. So that is now contested, which is going to give Morgan a 2 victory point advantage on the first round. Now, I think that was always going to happen unless he threw 3 characters. Oh no, he's going to claim it because Zemo's not right. And that's huge for Morgan.
Mm,
Because he's not in, Morgan's going to be scoring 4 VPs more than Utility Cookie. So it's going to go 6-2 because Zemo wasn't able to get in on that mist cloud.
yeah, She-Hulk does not like that soft suggestion to just gently walk away.
Yeah. Um, okay, so so your utility cookie, who do you activate first? Do you save Valkyrie from an Angelix bearing down on her, or is it more important that you do some work on Enchantress before she steals a an extract off She-Hulk? Is it She-Hulk that's got it? No, he's got
Well,
the other one.
first we got to
Yeah,
reposition
it's
these tokens, right? So maybe that helps inform the decision. You know, because if there's 2 or 3 characters over here that are poisoned, and it looks like he's trying to back it up. He's not going for the poison and the damage. Um, well, we'll see. There's no decision being made yet, right?
yeah. He's still thinking about it. He's going to measure out some stuff, I think. Um, but oh yeah, tough call. Do you? Yeah, I think
I mean, it is utility cookie that gets to move it, right? Because Enchantress is the one that claimed it. So maybe
Enchantress.
he just pops it onto Enchantress, and then she's got an even harder time generating the power she needs to steal something early. And then maybe you can, afford to get a Valkyrie activation in without losing a bunch of stuff. But true to form, these players see something that I don't. I'm always dropping these Fisk tokens and Terrigen Cloud tokens right on my opponent's head because, I want that damage and I want that poison. But maybe there's some strategy here they're cooking up that I'm not aware of.
I think what that tells me is Enchantress is going to get punched because otherwise you'd be wanting to deny her power to do stuff. So the fact that Enchantress hasn't been poisoned and therefore is going to have 2 power in this round
I think
tells
we're
me that indicates to me that Utility Cookie is going to go ham on her.
Yeah, looks like we've got Stalwart Determination being paid for by Valkyrie, by Medusa, and um, by
She-Hulk.
She-Hulk. Thank you. So
Yep.
we've got played during the power phase, and they're all A-Force characters which spend it. So the 2 non-A-Force characters didn't spend anything because they can't. Um, so if they spent power, they can't be pushed or thrown by enemy effects this round. You can still use that Enchantress Bow ability. That's kind of like Bow to the Will of Modoc.
Siren. Yeah.
Siren's Call, thank you.
Yep.
Um, but
Um, in
yeah, go ahead.
Sure, he can't push Valkyrie. Interesting. I think he's just trying to prevent that. I think he's now going to say, right, well, let's deal with Enchantress, so she's not going to be moving people around, and then just make all the rest of my guys. Yeah, okay, interesting. Has gone with Valkyrie first to try and save Valkyrie from the loving embrace of Angela. However, Valkyrie has now stood next to a size 3 piece of machinery, which Angela is eyeing up. So we'll see what happens with that. It looks like a long move might be. I think a long move should be able to get that throw off. See what happens, and then decide what to do with the next thing. Alternatively, Medusa might be in range 4, and then you try and hope you get that pursuit and try and get towards Valkyrie that way. That could work too.
Yeah. Then
Well, it might be a
pursuits off
long
the
4,
1 power range 4 attack, right?
for sure, yeah. But Angela's going to be sitting on, what's she on? She's on 4 power? 3 power. Yeah, she picked up a citizen. But that's still, yeah, one for that and guaranteed to be able to throw. Does a medium move get you close enough to Valkyrie? Possibly not. Okay, so Valkyrie has bravely run away.
Yeah, I don't hate that because while Angela could come in and throw this machinery and probably get an attack off, either the range 4 one or maybe she's close enough that she can get a sword swipe in. It also means bringing Angela into this, den of thieves you've got going on over here. There's a lot of characters, opposing characters to Angela that would be bearing down on her if she made a bullet for Valkyrie here.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe later in the round, but I don't
Okay.
love it initially. Ooh,
Oh,
are we gonna
that's
just get
lovely. Look at that.
hammer
Medusa
double
and
tap?
Killmonger
Neither of those
both
characters
within
want to
range
be
5.
want to have shock.
Yeah. No, none of Ikuki's team wants shock. They're all damage dealing characters. So, but particularly Medusa reducing the chance of that flurry. That's potentially a really big swing. But it looks like Zemo's using the Asgard ability at the beginning of the activation, so he's lost a damage in the power.
There was a chance for him to do it last round as well. I saw them put a Asgard token on it, and he peeled off one of the damage that he was taking as well.
That explains why he's down to just one damage now.
Yeah, it's amazing how you can start to recover from that with the Asgard ability. It's a very strong leadership, one of the strongest in the game, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't negate the power that Medusa's gained though. So Medusa's with 3 power that can be.
Yes.
I didn't see. Did you see if that range 3 measuring from Medusa to Enchantress was in or not?
Oh, it seemed super close. I can't say
Yeah,
if it was in or not. Doing a lot of good measurement here, it looks like. So from the perspective of Morgan, what are we looking at here? Looks like maybe we're considering going with an Enchantress and kind of, maybe getting some good beams off. I would say that they definitely have Killmonger and Baron Zemo if they want in a range 3, but I'm not sure about the Medusa.
I don't. What for a beam? Enchantress can't currently see Zemo because there's a size 3 piece of terrain in the way, so that would prevent him from being targeted, right? Even by the beam.
Right. That's correct.
Oh man, Zemo is just legging it over.
Oh, hi there.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to be standing next to Medusa. That doesn't sound like fun. So it looks like he's double moving to go and sit on the other mist, which I guess frees Fury up to do what? Maybe now he's thinking, okay,
Ever the
here's maybe
strategic
Morgan's
genius.
thinking. Morgan's thinking, I just got 4 points on that last round. If I just ignore that entire side for the rest of the game, I win. He's got to come to me. He's got to bring all of his
Yep.
characters who are currently clustered up on this point. He's got to bring them all over to this other side to try and start getting back what the advantage I've got.
Yeah,
So
it's a good
he
plan. I
scored
think
his two, yeah, he
it goes into what I was
scored
saying at
two.
the start of the game, but now he's got the points advantage to actually make it happen.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so Killmonger's gone in. Looks like he's charged in on Enchantress. Wow, it's a massive Killmonger roll and a not great 5 dice from Enchantress. Killmonger didn't have the power to play, but only one block on those 5 dice.
And we're in range for Zemo reroll
Mm.
too.
Yeah, Zima rerolls.
Oh man, 4 crits. Jeez.
And there's another attack coming as well
Right, because
off
that was
that.
off the charge. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you Odin's
so he's
Blessing
picked
here?
up 4 points. He could on this next attack. I don't. He didn't have the power for it before. He was only on 2,
Right.
so he didn't have the power for
I was
pressing
asking
on
about
the.
this
On
attack because you got 2 HP left, right? So if you leave her at 1, you Odin's Blessing this, you go to 1, then you can start healing again with Asgard.
Absolutely, and she's got a bunch of power as well. So she'll be sitting on. She spends 3, so she spends essentially 2. She still have 4 power,
Mm-hmm.
so that's still you can do more stuff with 4 power. So we're seeing another attack coming in.
Looks like they
Looks like got
paid to get around the defenses this time.
yeah, Cinder. So this is. I think the payment was because he's rolled 7 dice. That's the spender. That's the Black Ops Strike, isn't it? And that's
Mm-hmm.
a days.
Yeah, because there were no crits there, right? So yeah, Killmonger made it
Yeah,
happen. And he's building those kill count tokens, so he's gonna start to become more dangerous.
yeah. Remember
Walk
those
away
kills?
with Thor.
Very, yeah. So Morgan's sticking to his plan of fine, my enchantress is down. That's a shame, but I'm just going to walk Thor, who's carrying the extract, away.
Right.
Enchantress hasn't activated, so that's going to potentially cost him priority as well. So that Enchantress can early next round grab an extract and run away twice if She-Hulk ends within range. That would be a bad thing. You want to make sure that She-Hulk is not within range 1 of Enchantress. I don't see a reason why he would do that. But
Right, I agree. I'm thinking, and gaining prio for Morgan allows the characters that want to be running away to do that even more securely. So like Thor could get even further away. Maybe Angela decides to back off now that she's holding an extract and doesn't really have a reason to go back over there.
no, I agree. I think it was a nice play to threaten to go after Valkyrie and gain a load of power and evacuate and then steal Valkyrie's drop one. That's what that positioning was indicating to me. But given how Utility Cookie has chosen to play this, I think Morgan's playing very, very smart. Looking at it, so he's on 6 victory points already. He's looking at scoring 4 next round to be for this round to be 15, for the next round to be 15, and potentially is he going to be able to evacuate? Has he got R&D sitting around? If he's got R&D, he can evacuate with priority at the beginning of round 4.
Morgan
Yes, he
does
has got
have an
advanced.
advanced R&D,
Yeah.
yes.
So the if nothing else happens, Morgan's going to get priority round 4. He's going to have 5 power on Angela and Thor, and
Probably, and
no, we're going to have 7
even Zemo could pass out 2 power at that point.
beginning round 4. They're just going to have enough anyway. They're already on 3 each, so they go to 5 each next round when the score goes to 10, and then they go to 7 beginning of round 4 when the score goes to 14. He evacuates, and that's game over just right at the start of round 4. So I think Utility Cookie's boxed himself into a corner here, and he really needs to aggressively go after some points. And that
Right.
appears to be what he's doing. Angela is sitting there with an extract, and Medusa looks like she's coming down towards her.
Yeah, and I don't hate that, right? Because while you can't get any rerolls in there on Angela, you if you hit those wilds, you can push her back towards where She-Hulk is, and sure she can run away, but there's you smack her up a bunch and she's not going to be happy about it. There's a wild,
Yep.
so we'll get at least one push in flurry, then we can try and do it again.
Push happens on damage, so they might not get the push.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
So it looks like got 2 blocks. So there's no push happening at the minute.
There could be a flurry.
Yep, there is a flurry. No rerolls, remember, against Angela. So
That's
that's why
right.
you didn't see the human reroll coming in.
Yeah, the Living Ribbons special. It's very similar. They both have basically the same rule. Living strands or living ribbons.
Yep.
One thing that I've always kind of been a little peeved about in MCP is like they have some abilities that are exactly the same, and they've called them different things. And I'm wondering if there's something else going on in the future where they're going to have that mean something. But
Like strike attacks, got the same name but different number of dice and sometimes different ranges, and so I can see that. Yeah, like a tactics card of like out of activation, make a strike attack, but it has to be called strike, something like that.
yeah, I'm talking about like
So
living strands versus living ribbons, right? They're both
well,
effectively
yeah,
the
I
same
get that.
power.
And bow to the will of Mode. Well, you can't really have Enchantress having bow to the will of Mode.
Right. Doesn't really make
I
sense.
mean, everyone seems to call it bow, but it's not.
Siren's Call.
Um,
Yeah,
okay, so
he's just had it for
it's
so long.
what did I miss? Why did they not trigger that flurry?
Either they forgot or just didn't
I guess
want
it's
to add damage, maybe?
yes, it's optional.
I think
Yeah, it's
maybe
not optional, so maybe he chose not to, or
cutting their losses, right?
yeah. So I mean, we've got Art judging this, and he would
He's
have stepped
pretty
in if that
good.
was a mandatory effect.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
he's
He's
a
pretty good
fantastic table.
about not falling into the trap of saying, "Oh, hey, did you want to trigger that flurry?" Because it's not
Yep,
mandatory, right? So,
yep, absolutely. So he'll know that. And it looks like them checking if Zemo's in, and that looks like it might just be out.
oh boy.
Yeah, I think Zemo, despite their best efforts of trying to get him in on there, is not. It's the second time, 2 turns in a row, Zemo is just out of the secure. That Zemo's
I think
not focused on these mists.
I think that Zemo is the Skrull Zemo. He's obviously not a strategic genius. He's millimeters away.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
we've got
Zemo's over there now, so he might be able to start doing some work. He's not holding an extract, so he doesn't really care if he gets dazed. Um, who do you leave? I guess Killmonger's already camping that mist cloud, so maybe you leave Killmonger up this top one to keep scoring those points because you don't want to. Maybe you swap Valkyrie over. Valkyrie comes over and sits there because she's got the extract, and you send Killmonger into fight fires over here. But I have to say, this feels like Morgan's playing very smart. He's read the game very well, and he's now looking to just punish Dave for some of the decisions that he's made.
right
That
the
refused flank,
masterclass in capitalizing on your opponent's weaknesses, right?
absolutely. If that refused flank had worked better in terms of the, and Morgan did a great job choosing the map side as well. We've got to give him credit for that as well. Putting it so that that silo was hard for two characters on Utility Cookie side to get into contest.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a randomly selected map. This wasn't pre-drawn or predetermined. So there's no, maybe Morgan's got a lot of map practice on it, but there's no map practice in the same way as you might have seen in the league. People looking at, okay, well in this setup I want this. Also, the amount of map practice you have to do for Battle Realms would be immense because you've got so many possible combinations of crises. What, like
Yeah,
potentially 20, 25 different crises you got to prep for, maybe more. Yeah, yeah, more than 25 because yeah.
and that was kind of my feeling going into making my Battle Realms roster when I played it. I had this feeling that like the crisis just doesn't matter terribly as much. I mean, I'm sure there's ones that you're. I picked the ones that I was most comfortable with, that I played most often, because, like you said, the if you're gunning for one of your crisis in your roster, there's not a huge chance you're gonna get it. You know,
Mm.
and it's certainly a lower chance than like a regular roster game. And I I think that part of the strength of a player in Battle Realms, you need to be adaptable, and you need to be able to just roll with the punches. I didn't get to draft the characters I wanted. It's not the best scenario for me, but like Morgan is showing us, you find that one chink in your opponent's armor and you just exploit it as much as possible, and you use the
So
flexibility to get your win.
So Rye Tackle in the chat has come up with an amazing little combo which I hadn't seen. So good job. At the beginning of next round, Thor and Angela are going to be on 5. If Shuri R&D's 2 power, 1 to each of them, they're going to be on 6. They can both evacuate.
Yep,
That
I
gives
was.
him 4 points. Puts him on 14. He only then needs to score 2 points at the end of the round. He's also got the possibility, Enchantress is over there with priority with 8 power. She can move to She-Hulk, steal the extract with a kiss and evacuate it straight away because she's going to be on 10 power. So she's got the 3 she needs for the kiss and the 6 she needs, and then she just goes boom, boom, boom. I don't even need to wait till the end of the round. I'm going to score 3 evacuated citizens. The only counterplay you've got is, I think, someone's got to kill either Thor or Angela. So if the first activation is Enchantress steals from Shuri and extracts, then this is all on Medusa taking out Angela with like 2 attacks and flurries, and that's a full health Angela. Oh no, Angela got poisoned, and that messes with the maths. It messes with maths hugely. So it's still very strong for Morgan, who might need to wait till the end of the round to do it, and make sure he's scoring that mist. Can't do it
I
mid
really,
turn 3.
yeah, I really like this Enchantress play of just walking up and
Yeah.
grabbing that citizen and immediately extracting it.
Yep.
By the way, it
Gone.
was on She-Hulk. It just wasn't quite displaying on the overlay. So now it has been extracted. So that should
Yep.
be a 2-point bump right there. I guess maybe they haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, or they just haven't updated the score.
Well, they have. Morgan's gone to 12.
Oh, okay.
He was
Sorry
on
about
10
that.
at the end of the round. Yeah.
Things happen
So
so
here it comes.
fast.
Yeah. David recognised that my only hope here is I've got to get some points off Angela. So in comes Medusa with hoping for the flurry. Remember, no Inhumans reroll makes it slightly sadder. I'd be very surprised. Yeah, 4 dice. I'd be very surprised if it was not Angela. No flurry yet. No, that's probably game
Oof.
because Angela can run away. Thor's relatively safe, and then at the beginning of round, even if he doesn't get the mist at the beginning of round 4, he's going to extract that.
Yeah, he's got such an advantage in terms of extracts. But hey, dice could still be a thing. There could be some Zemo roll that comes up and cranks wide open, and maybe we'll see a bit
Yeah,
of a shift.
totally. But I think probably the next thing is Angela runs away. That would be the smart thing to do.
Certainly, because if in a vacuum, Angela should generate enough power after an R&D to get it done next turn, right? If she does nothing else.
Yeah, she'll get 1, and then the R&D takes her to 6. Yeah, I mean she could just move away long and clear, and then don't even have to use tactics card. But
Yeah, I would think concentrating on getting her further away might be better in that case. Because if you're probably already going to use it to give Thor power, so you might as well give out one to somebody else as well.
I'll tell you what we missed. We've got an all you've got from Medusa here.
Oh boy.
That's what this is rolling. Cookie's recognised he needs to do this, and so he's using his powerful character. He's using all you've got. If he doesn't, things don't go well. He's losing the game anyway. So he's just trying to get as much damage as he can onto Angela,
Yeah, it's a smart move.
and then yeah. But after all of that,
I mean,
that's
there's
only 2
still an
damage to
Odin's
on her,
Blessing
and she is going.
available. There's still 5 tactics cards available on the other side of the board, so
Drawing out Odin's Blessing would be a good thing because that's going to take 3 power off Angela. She's only game 1, so it costs her 2 power.
it's like the
So
struggle of the
this
Dash
time,
Guard rosters are how do I pay for these expensive tactics cards and get enough power to evac my citizens?
seeing a series of attacks. I think there's been a number of flurries rolled. So this is the 3rd attack, I think, of the all you've got, possibly the 4th one.
I think,
But some good dice
yeah.
from Morgan.
Because there was no flurry on the first one, then all you've got happened. And then I think there's been 2 attack rolls since then. But not enough damage to push yet, I don't think. Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's a dazed Medusa.
Not ideal.
Yeah, that Angela is looking very healthy still. I wouldn't expect necessarily Cersei and Asgard leadership on Angela here because
No.
at the minute she's already got what she needs. But maybe you spend R&D in order to heal that up just to make sure she's a little bit safer.
Yeah, but with R&D right now, she can just... Oh, here it
Yeah,
comes. Give 1 to
Fury is
Angela,
doing
1 to
this.
Thor, and she just evacs. And then...
And then Thor's relatively
Yeah.
safe. Yeah,
I'm not even
I
sure
mean, she's
Killmonger can
got
get over there.
Yeah.
Even She-Hulk's a bit too far, probably.
I think Morgan's looking at whether that's possible. So this blue stick is Morgan's measuring stick. and he's seeing which one is the better one to evacuate on. I think Angela is the better one to evacuate, and that's what he's done. He's paid
That's what
6
I would
on.
agree with. Yeah, that's the play
Goes to
I would make.
14.
And that takes the pressure off Angela. She can just kind of sit there and be tanky if she needs to be now.
And he's still got 3 characters around the Terrigen Mists.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a, and he's, I think that even if Thor is got by She-Hulk, which I think would have to, I'm not sure that's even possible. Throw might be able to get a size 4 throw, maybe, although that looks quite far. He's looking at Killmonger.
That's a neat move that just happened there. Angela did activate, just kind of shimmied closer onto that token, and even though Zemo's standing right there from the other side, the opponent Zemo still, there was no attacks made by Angela, and I think that's an effort to maintain this priority advantage.
I think it's also denying Zemo power.
Mm-hmm.
So Zemo's going to make some attacks. He's only on 2 power. He'd get a charge. If he charged towards Thor, he wouldn't be able to afford rerolls. If Angela swings in and does a bit of chip damage to Zemo, gives him 2 more, he then turns on the rerolls for his attack against Thor, and suddenly the odds start going in his favor. So this looks like a charge from Killmonger. Is he within 2?
Looks pretty good.
He's checking. So this is going to be what, a 5 dice pierce with a reroll from kill count. Yeah, that's in 2. So this has to go really well for Utility Cookie, or else the game's just over.
I mean, if there's any character that can blow up dice rolls, it might be Killmonger, especially with that innate roll there.
If there's any character who can blow up dice rolls, it's all of the characters on Utility Cookie's team, and it's going for a Black Ops. Right, to get the extra dice, yeah, makes sense. And he's got a reroll from his kill count.
3 wilds.
But
wow.
3 wilds is nice, so he's going to be staggered, but there's no pierce on this one, which is a shame.
And there's only 2 blocks, a crit and a block, showing on the Thor side, so that's good. That's a pretty good hit.
But that's his second action. I don't think that's going to be enough. And then Thor evacuates out.
Right. I don't think this game's going long enough, right? I mean, at that point, Thor just activates and it's over? Question mark?
Yep. Yep.
Places next to him. Get on top of him. Yeah. I mean, I blocked off my whole night for this. They were in and out real quick.
Yeah, someone's making a point in the chat. Has Morgan made an attack?
No?
I don't think so. I think Thor didn't throw a hammer. He moved up and then
he walked away.
Back.
Shuri walked up, was about to, and then walked away.
Yep. So I think that's I mean, maybe Thor throws a punch just because he can at the end. Yeah, Thor's evacuated and the game is over.
All right, you want to head back in there?
Yeah, let's give him a moment just to finish their little chat. It's always a nice thing to do.
Sure.
Give him a minute just to talk through.
Obviously, that second turn was a big turning point, right? Or was it the first turn
I think
that they got?
The big thing was not getting Zemo onto that secure. That's what I think.
Right.
And measurable, and he could have seen by putting down a range 1 on that Terrigen Mist on top of that silo that he couldn't get where Zemo wanted to be that way. And maybe with a long move and a short climb, maybe he could have stood on top of the silo. Maybe there's another position that would have worked for him. But that for a lead of 2 on the first round with Enchantress contesting against Zemo feels like we can work with this, but a lead of 4, those extra 2 points that he got out of that, I think that's what really set up this whole thing.
Absolutely. Giving Enchantress just enough power to walk up, steal, and attack was the nail in the coffin, though, I think.
Yeah.
Because maybe you can salvage it if your opponent's running away with half of them, but yeah.
Shall we jump back into the other table and see what's going on?
Sounds good to me. See you in there.
Get close to Thor. The plan was just to take off from round 1 was to take off the citizen from Thor.
I would have probably.
Hey guys.
Hey man, who's that?
So it's Jacob, and I've got Dan here as well. So congratulations,
hello.
Morgan. Congratulations, Dave, Cookie. Yeah, sorry, I interrupted you. Carry on. So you were trying to get the extract off Thor.
Oh, and I was just saying. I was just saying for Dave that maybe that all you've got might have been better on Killmonger, maybe.
Maybe, yeah, to get this one off Thor. Um, maybe.
Yeah, that Angela when she's got Shuri and Zemo back in her, my God,
Yeah,
she's
it's pretty good.
Kind
Yeah.
of
And with the-
durable.
And with the healing of Asgard, the chip damage doesn't do it, so yeah, you need to kill him right away.
Mm.
Mm.
We were just saying it was a bit of a sad game, actually. Like it was just, yeah.
So, Morgan, I'm dying to know.
Yep.
Did you make an attack at all?
I almost did, and then I put the card out there, and I went, no, don't roll the dice. I won't attack. So I couldn't. So
Almost attacked Shuri. Yeah.
I didn't roll any attack dice, which is horrible. I
Oh,
don't
my
like
goodness.
this, I have to say. And we tried to be gentlemanly because neither of us took hired muscle in a unspoken term.
Was that part of the plan, or always, or it just happened to work out that way?
No, I was just saying to Dave before, like when I put the Zemo bait out there, I was hoping he would attack Zemo with Medusa, because if he put Medusa here and secured the point, Enchantress couldn't have scored 2 by moving She-Hulk. It would force Enchantress to advance R&D and steal the Citizen off She-Hulk to gain a points disparity, which would mean that Enchantress would have been murdered the top of 2. But the murdering's actually okay because, as you just saw, when she does get murdered, she
Yeah,
steals.
I don't think it would have really mattered in the end.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, you would just do this a turn later, right?
probably. Yeah,
Yeah, and don't have Angela here, but here.
probably. You're probably right, mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
all right.
So
Well,
how did,
go ahead.
I'm interested to hear how you felt the Battle Realm portion of it went and how it impacted the wider game.
Oh, me or Dave?
Let's go Morgan first.
Sure. Look, I thought it was fine. I picked Enchantress. Normally, I'd do like a Thor first, but noting the Citizen and the Crisis combination, Enchantress was the better pick because it means I could play Cabal or Asgard, depending on who Dave doesn't want me to play. Who did you first ban? Was it in Magneto?
I think I didn't want to give you
It was
the big
Valkyrie.
hitters.
It was
Oh,
Valkyrie.
Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Valkyrie. Yeah, I think Valkyrie. Yeah, Valkyrie first.
So I was saying to Dave that when we did it, I would probably play like something of this at 20 anyway in a normal game. So it didn't impact my squad choice almost at all. I'd probably have a little bit more freedom and I'd feel I'd have more agency. But in the end, it's varying levels. You're splitting hairs of excellence on what squad to take if you've built your roster well. So doesn't matter what Dave dismissed, I would have been happy with the squad I played. I just didn't have choice over was it Asgard or Cabal if he banned one of my leaders first, which he didn't, so I still had the choice. So I felt fine. I quite enjoyed the back and forth of him getting rid of characters he didn't want to see, and I enjoyed the back and forth of me getting rid of his Angela and Enchantress. So yeah, the end result The end result was like a standard squad for me. I didn't feel that was negative, and I felt I had an advantage because I was managed to ban 2 of his characters or dismiss 2 of his characters that I thought would have been really strong on this crisis.
Yeah.
And Dave, over to you.
Yeah, for me, normally I would play this, but with Enchantress. So
Instead of Killmonger.
yeah. So not being able to do that was annoying, and the reason why I don't like a bit better help because you sort of can win before the game starts, and I mean this squad is fine, right? It's not. It's Enchantress would have been better here. The part that was worse for me was the crisis. That normally you bring crises so you can sort of counter what the other brings. Because Panic, for example, I would never have in my roster, and you can expect that Asgard has it, and then you can counter it with a slower secure.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's so random what comes on the table. It's like when I saw Panic, I was like, okay, I just have to kill one of his models that has the token, otherwise I'm probably gonna lose this one. So that's why I went all in to one side, try to chase Thor, but he kept Thor way back here. And Angela I could never catch, so I had to chase Thor.
Yeah, she's tough to catch, that one. We were talking a bit about the crisis selection in terms of how likely you are to get what you want. And to me, it feels like you're not at all likely to get what you want. So throw any 6 crises in there, it almost doesn't matter.
5. It's a good
Yeah.
point.
Ah,
It's a good point that you can't get what you want, but the way I feel about it, and each player will feel differently, is that I feel that there's probably 3 or 4 out of the 5 that I actually want to play on, that I've built for my options within my roster, and so I don't much mind what comes out there. Because Dave's right, you do the crisis to mitigate your matchup in standard form. In this format, I think the crisis comes first, and you do your characters to adapt to the crisis. So it's just a different,
that's right.
for me, it's a different mindset. I don't think there's a negative about it unless you really hate 5 and you only want to play on a couple.
Yeah.
It's just a different mindset, and I quite enjoy that because it has combinations of characters within squads and crisis combos that I wouldn't normally play on, and then it expands my ability to learn different combinations, and it sort of opens my aperture to characters and crisis combos that I normally wouldn't play, and therefore I get to learn. But
Yeah.
that's my perspective on it.
I think that's a great outlook, and I share that at least in part. And when I threw my Battle Realms roster together, I picked the crises that, over a length of time, over the past year or so when I've been playing, I felt that I was most comfortable with that crisis individually. I've played it before enough times. I've seen how it works. I know characters that are good on it. I have a comfort level with this crisis. I'm going to put it in my Battle Realms roster. And I'd like to, I'd be interested to hear both of your guys' thoughts on whether, like, my running theory is that the key to winning at Battle Realms is player flexibility. You have to be flexible enough on whatever random crisis that you get dumped on, and you have to be flexible enough to choose characters that you think will build an advantage over your opponent while they're actively trying to thwart you. But you have to be capable of settling in to something that you're not normally used to playing. You have to be flexible enough to handle that, and kind of like we saw, turn the smallest advantage you can grab into something that wins you the game. I think there was round 1, Zemo was millimeters away from being able to contest something, and that really informed the following 2 rounds.
Yeah, look, I mean, Dave, do you want to say anything before I do about? I mean, that's a pretty good statement by Dan. Do you want to comment before I do?
No, you can go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's a really good point, and I suppose one of the reasons, again, this is subjective. One of the reasons I really like Battle Realm is that it moves away from the set plays. Jacob, I think I would say you are the master of the set play, in that the squad you've created and used, be it the Wakanda wave, it's a playbook. Before you turn up and you don't have to think; it's already done for you. And the pentagrams, it's a playbook. So I like the Battle Realms format because it disempowers that style of set plays and actually forces players, in most cases, I think, not all, but in most cases, to actually test their skill at MCP and adapt on the fly and go, right, I've got some different characters. In my mind, I had a set play what I want to do. That's now changed. I've now got to figure out how I win this game with what I've got in front of me.
Right.
And that's another aspect that I really like about it.
That's kind of what I was keying into. Being flexible enough to look at the board, look at the hand you were dealt effectively, and say, how do I win this game in front of me right now?
Yep. That's how I feel, as well. And that's one of the aspects I like. But I could understand why people don't like that. And that's entirely subjective to the person.
Opinions, man. Everybody's got them.
Yeah, for me, I'm kind of big on Black Order, and that's kind of my play style. And if you look at the roster I bring now, the models I like to play are Medusa, Valk, and Zemo, and I just find Wakanda very boring. But yeah, it's in there, and I don't really like playing with She-Hulk as a model. So for me, but I had the feeling I had to take this to always have some good models and a good synergy in your list. So for me, not being able to play Black Order and have a real synergized list, it's something why I don't like Battle Realms.
Would you say, just to double down on that, would you say that you think that playing Battle Realms could make you a better player of Marvel Crisis Protocol overall, or do you think the inability to truly play the models that you're that you like to specialize in, that you like and are comfortable with, and
Well,
kind of having it be a false choice restricts your ability to really tap in and get the most out of that practice that you could be having in terms of just upping your flexibility as a player.
well, let's give an example. If you you have someone that plays Battle Realms for like a half a year and only plays Battle Realms. New releases come along and they only play Battle Realms. Another player only plays the standard format for half a year. If the Battle Realm player comes into the standard tournament, he's gonna come into combinations he's never played against that are pretty powerful because you can do those because you have all the options. Uh, and otherwise, you can say the same for the stand player coming into Battle Realms. Suddenly, all those options are not available, but you're still playing MCP. And for me, I like to play against the best combinations out there. Uh, 'Cause I have the most enjoyment trying to win or lose against against the best combinations, and you don't get that in Battle Realms. So I think you can have an argument for either way, but
Sure. Yeah, that's
yeah.
a great
I think,
point.
Dave, one of the things I absolutely agree with you is I think Black Order's viability. I mean, I love playing Black Order probably as much as you do. Maybe question mark, but you're right. I mean, look, I don't think you have to play Black Order with all the stones, Corvus and Thanos. But if you
No,
don't,
sure, but you need
I
Corvus.
yeah, no. Well, I mean, I've also played it. We've all played it with Corvus as well. So you can make certainly in those, the pay to play or whatever Heroes for Hire. And when they first came out before Thanos was released, whole bunch of stuff, right? But what I'm saying is you can play Black Order, but I don't think they're competitive without
No,
all the stuff.
not compared with what other rosters can take.
That's right. So I think for me, that's the biggest negative on Battle Realms at the moment is just solely on Black Order. In that, if you want to play Black Order, with how the stone banning is at the moment, I don't think it's viable competitively. So Cabal's the other one. If you want to play solo Cabal, that's problematic, but I think workable. Now we have Magneto and MODOK, so you can pair Red Skull with one of them.
Yeah, maybe when Sin comes along, it's also a bit better. Yeah.
But I think for me that the tipper will be if AMG went, hey, these stone things are a bit limiting on Black Order for the time being. Maybe we revise how we do the stone picks. That would then really elevate the format in my mind to be very, very strong. But at the moment, I agree, Black Order is almost unplayable competitively in this format, which is a real shame and the biggest negative to me.
Yeah, because if let's say you can pick the stones or they're attached to the characters or something like that, you can you can take Thanos first and someone can ban Corvus, but then you can take Loki, for example. He's almost a mini Corvus, right? With I'm a God, you can boost him, so then that's playable. But if Thanos can't get stones on him, I mean, it's rough.
Gotcha. I mean, I've got more questions loaded up, but I'll give Jacob a chance to pipe up.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to this game and talk about your refused flank, Dave, that you were trying to use. Do you want to talk about why you went with that strategy and how maybe you might do it differently in future when you're trying something like that in MCP?
Oh, sure, yeah. He had Shuri here on this side, and he was going to activate last, so I would never get this point here. And I needed to get one citizen off of him because I knew Asgard is just going to win the runaway game and him having Enchantress. There's going to be a turn if he waits long enough that he can move, steal, and evacuate. So I knew I had to take it off Thor. So that's why I went with everyone over here. I had some fast movement with Medusa placing, but he kept Thor far back enough, and I knew I could never chase Angela for the citizen. So yeah, that's why I put everyone here, trying to chase Thor. Because it was never about these secures.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, as long as you kept rough parity on them. Even moving down 2, you can get that back with an evacuation. So, I just thought it was interesting. It's something that I think about a lot, particularly on these 2 wide ones. When I'm facing from the Syndicate, I'll be going, right, well, you can just sit on that one. I'm going to bring all of my force to bear on this other side of the table. And I'm going to be playing 3 threat up against you.
If it wasn't for Panic, I would have totally kept on 2 sides. But Panic makes it different.
For sure.
Okay. So my next question is a bit thematic for Battle Realms, and we saw at least one Enchantress get banned today. And there was someone in the Twitch chat that was suggesting that we ban Enchantress. And I know that AMG has said that they are really suspicious of ever banning a character. So we're probably not going to see that happen. But what do you guys think about the ability to have, or the potential to have, banned or restricted crises?
You go first, Dave.
Uh, in general, or in this format?
Well, first in general, I mean, I don't think that Battle Realms really needs it because there's enough, crazy stuff going on already, and you have your
Yeah.
pick of the litter and tactics
Well,
cards, so having
well,
restricted
if we're
stuff like
talking in
that doesn't.
general, well, I've written an article about hired muscle and panic. Uh, I don't know if hired muscle is the only problem or if it's more of a panic thing. I think certain affiliations are, as you can see, what Asgard can do on panic. It's super strong, especially with the model like Enchantress in there. But I think Enchantress as a model is fine. I don't mind playing against her. I do mind playing on panic against her, but that's Asgard. So yeah, the only scenario I don't like, and I think creates a bit of an imbalance between affiliations, who are, as in uh, like who are super good on it. It's panic. So I can say, uh, um, I mean, personally, I would like if panic is changed or removed, but mm, I don't know if that's a route you have to enter as AMG.
Right. What about you,
Yeah.
Morgan?
Yeah, I think it's entirely viable. I think so. You know, I do remember the last piece AMG spoke about when they released their ban and restricted is that they're. I think the words were they're hesitant to put characters on the restricted, and they are actively not planning on putting any on the ban. Personally, I think everything should be open for review, which it probably is. But I would look at crises for restricted, and I would look at affiliation tactic cards for restricted, and I would look at characters for restricted as well.
Really, you'd,
Um,
you'd restrict the affiliation cards.
Absolutely. So I mean, like I got a whole list of in my little head what I'd like to see, but yeah, I think everything should be open for review and look at doing it, which it probably is, but I would suggest that personally, just the vibe I get off the AMG discussions and things is that the characters are very sacred, and then I think the affiliation is well. Yeah,
Yeah, I was thinking, and because someone made this comment in the Twitch chat that let's see if I can find their name right. But I'll come up with that in a second.
that's right.
I thought it was interesting that they made the suggestion of a restricted crisis because now that cuts into the tactics cards that you can take in a normal roster, right? So if you say like I'm going to restrict Gamma Wave and I'm going to restrict Panic Grips, right? There's an extract and a secure just got restricted, right? They're varying points levels, so that's probably okay. But
Yep.
now you're really up against the wall. Like if you want to play a dash guard list, you can't take two healing cards, or you
Yep.
can't take brace and medpack. You because you're selecting panic most likely as one of your crises. So it kind of puts a pinch on you there.
Absolutely, and I think it goes broader than that as well. I think there's many other crisis, that really excel against one very singular style of play. I think a good example is a Thanos with a hired muscle with the scrolls. I mean, that's another one that
Yeah.
I think is very powerful. So I think having crises up for banned and restricted is a good thing, and I kind of trust AMG's judgment on things. So I'll be curious to see if and when we do get an update to the ban and restricted, what could possibly be on there.
Right. Jacob, you got anything?
So, Morgan, you're through to the next round in this. Have you got any thoughts on who you'd rather face off against, Sooner or Sploosh?
Oh no, it doesn't bother me. It was just great today. Dave and I have never. So whilst the game was pretty, probably pretty dull for both of us in terms of no attacks and just playing the crisis, which is a bit of a shame. But this for me, I'm not stressed by this format at all. This is a good awareness activity. I think a really good initiative by you to demonstrate what some competitive players think is strong. It's worth noting that this is probably the first sort of real hit out. So, it's just a baseline. No meta has evolved or developed. But I'm just looking forward to playing people in the format, and I'm not phased at all by results or stuff like that. This is just a muck around, I suppose, awareness activity.
And now I know that your rosters are supposed to be static through the entire thing, right? So there's no changes that you can make. But coming out of this game, and maybe with some of the experience that you've had so far, if you had to make one change real quick, what would it be?
Dave, do you want to go on that one?
I would not really change anything, to be honest.
Okay.
If you normally I pick a Koye first, and then you can go either the A-Force route or the Wakanda route, but it's up to your opponent who he bans or she bans.
That's
So you can always.
Yeah, 20 threat. I saw a lot of the bans were banning the high value characters to try and limit the possibilities of getting up to that 20.
Yeah, but I don't think in Morgan's or in my roster we could ever stop us from gaining affiliation and the point values.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Could have fooled us.
Yeah.
We had no idea how you were going to get Asgard at 20.
It's pretty easy. So, as Dave said, if you've built your rosters correctly, and look, this does take longer. It took me a long time.
Yeah, me too. I said longer than normally to build
Absolutely.
This. Yeah.
Because when you build a normal roster, you just go 14, 15, extra 20, right? That's easy. With this, you've got to go through each iteration. And the more affiliations you have, the more complex it is. And so I think you can, I've said this a couple of times, but you can make it as simple or as easy as you want. And if you want to make it easy, just do single affiliation and pick the leader first. And then you just got to scale your squads based on picks and dismisses. But if you build it correctly, you can make the threat level at every points level, regardless of what your opponent dismisses. I'm reasonably confident you can do that with every single affiliation in the game, except if you want stones on Black Order. So anyway, that's a long way of me saying I'm happy with this squad. This is really a Cabal roster, believe it or not. It's got 7 Cabal characters, and I haven't really played.
I picked up on that with the art I used to promote this.
Oh yeah, so I haven't really played Cabal at all. So the idea behind it was to play some Cabal, but it falls back to Asgard, who I think is my favourite affiliation to play because I think they're the most well-rounded affiliation. That they're not sort of apart from they're very strong on citizens, but they're not busted like I think some other affiliations are in certain. I just like them as
they aren't bad anywhere, right? You can play them on.
That's right, except at 15. At 15
Yeah,
against
15,
Wakanda.
Yeah.
You need to really consider your tech there. But no, I just enjoy playing Asgard, and I want to try Cabal and Brotherhood's there. If if people want to give me Brotherhood, I'll give them a go too. Yep.
Great. Well, you guys both played an excellent game, so thank you for letting us be a part of that and helping us to promote the Battle Realms format and the Xavier Protocols Invitational. First ever game of the first ever Invitational. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks.
Just a thank you to Art, our table judge. Everything seems to go very smoothly, so thank you, Art, for stepping in.
Yeah.
No problem. I had nothing to do.
Just you had to moderate the mind games. Dave kept playing with. He threw me a. You got me actually, Dave. You got me abused. I was trying to make a 20 roster because I didn't put that much thought into it as we were discussing. And then, what did you pick? You picked 14. You go, I picked 13. And I'm like, what? 13? And then I had 13 total. Oh, that was funny.
Yeah, didn't you like it when I mentioned it after you banned like one or two?
Yeah. I'm like, you bastard. I love it.
Yeah, Jacob and I were having trouble doing our own math when we were looking at the picks that you guys were making. We're like, I don't know how he makes an Asgard roster out of this anymore. But you found a way, so congrats.
There's always a way, mate. There's always a way.
Yeah. When you're trying to keep 2 rosters in your head at the same time, it's a lot harder.
Yes.
It is. Yeah, it is. We've also got the mini realm, the battle realm mini league, which kept getting confused in my mind which squad I'm taking, and then I'm trying to build a roster for season 5. So I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Yeah. Anyway, no, it's good. Hey, thanks for having us on, Dave. Thanks for the game. I'm sorry we didn't roll any attack dice and punch each other in the face, which would have been fun.
Rub it in. You won rolling attack. That's how good you are.
That's how
Would
good
you
Asgard
guys
are.
Yeah.
would you guys rate this game as a casual game or as a really competitive game? How it was played?
Dave, you want to go first on this one?
I played how I normally play. I have to say I wasn't really on edge like I normally was. Like Zemo being out of one, normally I would have been, all right, place the one template here, but I was pretty fast with just move things. I just wanted to have fun, to be honest.
Yeah,
That's what
I
the
rate
game's
it.
about.
I rate it as a competitive game. Like I wouldn't run away in a casual game. That's not fun for anyone. So for me, that's. I mean, you got to respect the opponent. Like we're playing.
Yeah,
Like, as much as we're
sure,
enjoying the
yeah.
game, you've got to play to abilities to get to the 16. So that's a competitive game for me.
I felt there was very little pre-measuring going on. I've really noticed that at some point. Like, okay. So
Look, the level of competitiveness might have been a little bit lower than maybe in the league finals and stuff like that, in the top cuts or whatever. But I think the pre-measuring, the only one I agree a bit about Zemo there, but I would have thought you could make up with Medusa anyway, so it wasn't a big deal.
No, and I had him here, and I saw the symbol, but then I think I shoved him a bit, and then the symbol was gone on Zemo, and I was like, well, I shoved him, so let's leave.
I think that it was on the line of the train.
It was on the line, maybe. Yeah, I think
yeah.
so. Maybe
And
it's
then
I
he
hate those.
back.
I hate them. I don't mind the extract symbols, but the secure symbols, I really wish you could turn just the secure. I mean, I think you can actually mod settings.
Yeah, I think there's a way to adjust them if you'd like, and it should work for either player. I never trust them, honestly. I'm always finagling with them, and I feel like it's in and it's not showing, and whatever. I always make it clear with my opponent. I'm trying to be in one here. Are you good with this? Because those little displays are finicky for me.
Yeah.
But hey, again, thank you guys so much for giving us a chance to broadcast this and grow the community. And thanks for Jacob for putting this whole thing together. If you're part of the stream today, if you came for the chat, thank you for showing up, and I hope you do that again. I'm all good. You guys good?
Yep.
All
Did
right.
you kill Steve?
I think we're out.
Cool.